Good afternoon and welcome to this version of GluTalk. Really pleased to announce that Andy Brown, we joined from TD Synnex. And Andy, really great to see you. It's been too long, mate. Missed you at CRN last week, which was, I think I'm still recovering, to be honest. So
Yeah.
how have you been?
Yeah, been well, thanks, Rich. Yeah, all good here. Busy week last week. We're coming to our financial year end, so we had some representation at the CRN Awards, but personally, I didn't get down there myself.
No, well, you missed out on the hangover, mate. That's the main thing. So,
Yeah.
But fantastic news around you winning Distributor of the Year as well. So real celebration time for TD Synnex. I know you guys are working really hard at the moment, and also I believe you won an innovation award as well.
Yeah.
What do you know anything about that, Andy?
Yeah, so first off, I suppose the main award, delighted to be recognised as the biggest or most successful distributor for the year in that category. The innovative ecosystem project was an initiative that we've been working on in conjunction with IBM, one of our key vendors, and that was TD Synnex and IBM putting an investment in working within the retail space. So number of people from our side, both technical resources went in to support that project. And essentially, it was working with a number of the researchers at the University of Leeds to understand how the solutions from IBM brought together with that research group and with the specialists within TD Synnex could develop collaborative platforms for that vertical sector within the industry. It ran for about the 12-month project, I believe, Rich,
Okay.
and the findings of which solutions that were developed are then being taken on kind of from prototype into through testing and into production, hopefully by IBM. So it's IBM's way of getting multiple brains from different parts of the channel, I guess, and even end user sector and research space to collaborate and deliver kind of impactful solutions for particular vertical markets.
I'll definitely have to pick that one up, especially around retail with you. So it sounds really interesting, and certainly something that people need right now, right? So innovation, obviously leading the way. And on your role, Andy, how's that changed over the last few years? And you just give a background for people of what you do at TD.
Absolutely. So my formal title is I'm a technical services director, but I sit within the advanced solutions area of TD Synnex in the UK and Ireland. So we're predominantly focused on supporting the channel with enterprise type technology. So that's everything from the data center networking, public cloud hyperscalers, and all of the security that wraps around that. My area of the business is supporting partners with technical design. So if you imagine anything, I suppose, in the technical sales life cycle, from earliest engagement that we would have with a partner to look at their business strategies and how they're aligned to grow, all the way through to the installation, deployment, and ongoing kind of management of a solution after that design and phase has occurred. We've got services and skills and support offerings, and some together, right, collectively between Glu and TD Synnex, that we support those partners with that. The real benefit for the partner there is that they're leveraging our combined investment in those technical capabilities as opposed to adding it into their payroll, so allows them to be scale more, but at minimal direct cost to them in terms of payroll.
Yeah, and I mean that's obviously one of the big challenges, obviously from a partner perspective, right? Is they're really cash strapped at the moment. What with economic crisis and all the rest of it, every 2 minutes on the Sky News.
God, yeah, it's always something.
Well, I think everybody's on tenterhooks until Thursday, right? But
Yeah.
But I mean, is that one of the key challenges you're seeing with partners at the moment? Is that resourcing, and where you see the challenges from a PS perspective?
So it's well timed, really. We've done a lot of work on this in the last 12 months. We redrafted how my organisation go and talk to our customers, and we developed this idea of technical engagement continuum, the concept that the technical sales life cycle is circular and you're always kind of working with and developing your partners. And so we sort of direct feedback from some of our partners. And 2 or 3 things that came out top were rapid pace of change in specialized solution areas. So cybersecurity being a really obvious example. We've made significant investments in services and skills to support partners in that space. But the pace of change, right, and emergence of new vendor, well, I guess emergence of new vendors and solution providers, but the catalyst for that is the ongoing emergence of threats, different types of threats, the zero trust concept and idea that as these threats emerge, the partners and solution providers have to keep pace. If they're not keeping pace with that pace of change, then they're not supporting the end user community in remaining compliant and reducing the risk around some of that ransomware activity. So pace of change would be a big one. I'd say, Rich, is that the partners are telling. So for us, the challenge there is to remain invested and invest early around the skills, identification of solutions that we think are best of breed, bringing them into the portfolio. And I know we're going to talk about skills shortage, but obviously that's an obvious another big one.
No, I mean that leads into something that certainly that I've seen across a lot of the end customers that I'm talking with, right, is either they can't go and get the skill sets themselves. So you've got all these customers who are looking to transform, to go and drive increased revenue streams, to reduce costs, whatever it might be, or reduce risk, as you've highlighted around cyber, but they can't go and get the people. And so where we're seeing this huge gap at the moment is either there's a skill set gap down at the client level to actually go and fill that, but also when they're turning to their partners and asking for that and saying, look, we really need support in these areas, then sometimes their partners are really struggling with that. So absolutely think this is a massive there's a big problem around the skill shortage, which we can touch on later as to how we can try and resolve that, but also partners understanding that it's not just about going and selling a bit of technology anymore. It's now, how do you make sure that's embedded, and how do you make sure that the customer is getting the most out of it and delivering it to the best of their ability. So is that what you're seeing? Are you seeing that impact with customers as well? So partners that are not doing the PS perspective, that maybe they're just selling technology. Are you seeing that challenge as well, that the customers are moving, they're going elsewhere?
We see some of that. I think the more mature partners recognize the need to deliver the end-to-end or own the end-to-end life cycle of a solution that they're selling, for a few reasons. Typically those services after the point of sales are a higher margin profile than the hardware and component kits itself. So to remain relevant as a business, it's an important part of the sales cycle to address from a profitability standpoint. The other point is, those partners of ours that are able to offer that full range of services after the point of sale have a natural advantage, because they're keeping potential competitive partners out of that account. If they walk away from any aspect of that delivery or deployment or ongoing managed service, then somebody's filling that gap, right? Because the majority of the time, the consumer of the solution, the end user, will be looking for somebody to partner with to ensure that they get an assured and trusted deployment of the solution. So yeah, we see a lot of that. But then partners aren't. So a lot of partners are more open to a partnership, working with a distributor or a services aggregator. And Glue and TD Synnex together, I suppose, fall into that category more of a services aggregator, where we can offer that for them, and they trust it because we're not dealing with the end users directly, nor that typically there's less threat, and there's not the competitive aspect there that they need to worry about, because they can take that service without the payroll cost and deliver a good experience for the customer.
100%, right? And you know, distribution has obviously shifted dramatically over the last, well, I would say 5 years since I came out of my role. And you know, whereas before distribution was always seen as I'm going to come and buy a bit of software or a bit of kit, and that was it. You know, distribution now is all around that value add.
Yeah.
And I think where certainly working with you guys, your value add has gone through the roof, and now you're able to offer that whole end to end. Do you think from a marketing and advertising perspective, you know, do we need to do more education with the partners, right? And you're smiling because you know education's the key thing, right? Is you go into a customer. I mean, you know, I know partners go into a customer and say, "Oh, you know, we do a fantastic job on the network, but we didn't know you did security." And I would say, you know, that it's like a hidden gem with TD is all the value services that I know that you do. Is how can we get that out better with the partners?
So the reason I'm smiling is every customer that I go and see, and I present our new strategy for technical services, the technical engagement continuum. Every single one of them, without fail, says, "Oh, I didn't realise that the breadth of your capabilities from a services point of view." So that is one of my biggest frustrations when I hear that from partners. And we absolutely do need to do more about. I suppose shining a light on the capabilities that are there. I'm lucky that that I work within a team led by Matt Child. Matt will tell you himself he's a civil engineer by trade through kind of higher education. That's his background. So he appreciates the value, understands the value around the technical side of our engagement. We hear it all the time from partners. So for me, the one of my key priorities for this next 12 months is to, you know, shine a light on it and just make a lot of noise. And you know, to that end, you and I were talking beforehand. We're going to bring to life some of the people and the skills that we have within this the technical community. We launched just recently a digital guild, which is a customer. We're trying to build a group. We're going to bring up futures and insights that we're seeing. Working with the vendors in the market to our partners through very similar kind of vehicle as this one, Richard, that you're running, the GluTalks. We're doing something similar, and really ensuring that our FSEs, the field sales people and the business development people, are fully trained on our breadth of capabilities, both TD Synnex capability and those of our partners like Glue, so that they're getting those messages and that value into the sales conversations as early as possible.
Yeah, I think you've done the right thing though, because you've built this, you know, you've built this end-to-end position, Andy, right? And now you're ready to go and tell everybody all about it. And you're doing fantastic work with the innovation side of things as well. And bringing that to partners, I think, is going to be a real differentiator for you guys. I know you won it now, obviously this year at CRN. Want to go and win it again next year?
That's it.
But those kind of things, those value propositions, really make a difference, and we see that. So. And coming back to, you know, IT skill shortages, you know, I have an open question around that. I did a lot, obviously, when I was in post around, you know, how do you train people up and retain people as well? But, you know, are you seeing this IT skill shortages? And if so, you know, what's your view? Is there anything that we can do as a community? I'm talking about all partners and you guys around, you know, how do we approach that? And how do we get, you know, young people into technology to really try and fill those voids?
Yeah, so we're doing a bit with it, and it's a particular part of the role that I have that I enjoy, which is looking at how we develop careers for the people within my area of the business, but also bring them in from other areas of our business. So we took a conscious decision before the pandemic, in fact, to where we can try and promote internally. So about 75% of our hires today, when we have open headcount, is internal recruitment. We'll go externally where there's a specific role, urgent need for us to replace. But typically, what we do is look internally, and we found that there are natural parts of our business where those working within operations or within what we would call category management and those types of roles will have an exposure to the technology. They'll be used to placing the orders. They'll understand how the components of solutions fit together. So inherently, without even realizing it, they've got that grounding. They're grounded within TD Synnex already. So it's really beneficial for us to do it. So we've had quite a number of successful appointments from those kind of areas of our business, and we've built an apprenticeship program that's coming to its conclusion for the first cohort around it's an IT hardware technician level 3, and again gives a really broad foundational baseline for people coming to that business. And fortunately, I've got a good team of leaders that support and work on individual development programs with the people. So for me, that's how I like to approach it. And that's what I've been doing within TD Synnex.
No, that's great. And you know, pretty much the same, right? At JLP, we were taking people from help desk, training them in the cybersecurity to build the SOC aspect. So a lot of the guys were progression, and we were creating career plans. They were very good at that. And you know, investing in those users. And some of those people now I know have left. And they're in some very big jobs because they had that grounding, right, and they had that opportunity to grow. So really great to hear you're doing that. And I think it's one of the key areas, certainly for me, that's missing is that bridge, right, between people coming out. And I interviewed one last week who, you know, raved on about his 2-1 degree and how, you know, he was going to go and earn £100,000 starting off in IT, and it's like bringing expectations down, right? It's let's go and get the work experience first before we can start talking about numbers.
That's invaluable, right? There's the theory and the textbook, which you and I know will get you so far, but the soft skills around working with partners and working with somebody that's experienced as a mentor, that we often do quite a lot of that in the business, is we'll take that to the next level. And I think that approach, the JLP approach you talked about, and what we're trying to do, whilst you will always have a level of attrition within technical roles, especially when within recent history the jobs market has been really buoyant. I think it does buy you a lot of loyalty with the people 100%. That you're investing in, and we see that. We see the recognition that actually the approach that we take, you know, has allowed a number of people in our organization to start a technical career, and we've given them the time to develop, and it buys you a lot back, that I think from the employee.
Yeah, 100%. They want to stay with you because you've invested in them, and actually they can see a career path, right? So it's great. And so my final question, which is always a tricky one, right? What are your biggest challenges for you know, the next couple of years? What are your key objectives, and where do you see the not the barriers, but the real challenges coming?
I mean, I suppose back to the start, there's a lot of stuff that's happening that's outside of our direct control that will impact you know, market conditions, let's call it. But there's, you know, joking aside, Bank of England are forecasting a recession potentially formally by the end of the year. That will bring its own challenges in terms of willingness of people who are doing business to business type stuff, to, you know, whether the purse strings would be tightened. Geopolitical instability again on top of that, and, you know, I guess a change in government within the next 2 years, I suspect. You know, all of that kind of market stuff will be a challenge, and so then it's up to us as you know, to differentiate ourselves in a market that's slightly suppressed by those geopolitical conditions, to win the business that we can, and to give the shareholders the level of growth that's expected within the climate within which we're operating.
No, and that's really, you know, that's really interesting, because you are going to see that, right? You know, you saw when when the previous Prime Minister made some changes, what happened. And obviously, you know, that's going to continue and the knock-on impacts. But I think, like you say, making sure that you are delivering on value, not just from a TD perspective, but also all the partners as well, right? Are delivering on value to their customers, making sure they're adopting the technology, making sure they're moving from being that supplier to being a true partner is going to be even more critical now. And as you've rightly said, you know, making sure the partners can deliver that whole end-to-end life cycle. So everything from going and doing the pre-sales all the way through to the delivery and even the managed services is going to be even more critical now than it ever was before. So I mean, it's great to hear that you've invested in there, Andy, and really appreciate you coming on. It's always good to see you, mate.
And hopefully with a bit of luck and a fair wind, some of the kind of backlog challenges we've had over the last 12, 18 months due to supply, that starts to unlock. The projects that have been on hold start to re-emerge, and hopefully we can ride a bit of that wave, and that'll give us a bit of an upside. So yeah, no, appreciate the invitation, Richard, and yeah, thanks very much.
No, thank you, Andy, and look forward to catching up soon with you. Definitely over a beer before Christmas.
Yes, we'll do that for sure. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.